guys, and welcome to the Banter podcast. I was not expected to be recording right now at this exact moment in time, but that's okay. I'm here with Brennan. I'm here with Kyle. What's up, guys?
What's up, Corey?
How you doing pretty good right now.
Yeah. Why are
Yes,
you
sir.
feeling good, Kyle?
The Steelers are 3-0, baby.
They sure
Can't
are.
see it on. Yeah.
And I mean, we'll probably talk about
totally
the Steelers
beat
a little
up.
bit today.
They totally beat up on a bad Chargers team after like all of their good players got hurt, but I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably talk about them a little bit today. We were supposed to talk about them like 2 or 3 days ago, but delays occurred. So now we are talking about everything now. So that's what it's going to be today. Gentlemen, do you have any questions for me or anything you want to say before we get this timer started?
We're chilling.
We're
ready.
chilling. All right. Well, as always, we have a 35-minute total timer.
Wait, hold on. This is not the questions you had. Hold up. Definitely have the wrong document up. We are not ready yet.
All right. Well, in the meantime, I'll explain the format. We've got a 25-minute total timer where our two amazing analysts here have to reach 10 agreements on 10 questions. I really hope they do because God knows, do I have a speed round? No. But theoretically, if they don't get to 10 points, then they're going to have 2 minutes in a speed round. We're going to pop a classic speed round today where I'm just going to ask some random questions and we're going to see if they agree on them. And yeah, if they get 10 points, they win. If they don't, oh well, we call it a day and we move on. But with that being said, 25 minutes starting the second that I can find my timers.
Questions?
And then
we're good.
Brennan, did you find the questions?
I did. So we're chilling.
All right. We're going to get started now. All right. First headline that we're going to talk about today is the other day, Stanford and Virginia Tech played a conference matchup about 2,800 miles away from each other in terms of actual location. They are conference rivals now. So with that being said, who did I say? I said Syracuse and Stanford, right? I said that right.
I see your point.
Stanford also plays Virginia Tech later. That's like 2,600 miles. But anyway, do you think the NCAA and or the United States of America need to draw a line somewhere on this conference realignment? And if so, where is that line drawn? Let's see our answers here. Redraw the Pac-12 whenever it potentially becomes a super league. Okay, so Brennan did a great job not answering the question, so let's hear Kyle first.
Okay, so personally, I kind of connected it to, you remember a few years ago when I think there wanted to be like a one big unified like big soccer league in Europe where all the teams, where all the super high tier teams would be in it, and then everyone around that was like, no, this is awful, the fans hate it, the players hate it, everyone else hates it. I think of it when it gets to that point when like the SEC and the Big 12 and then even the Big 12 of it both start to get up to like 20 plus teams. That is when I'm going to have to say we have to intervene because there's kids on the track and field team, there's kids on the lower tiered sports leagues that are they should not have to travel across the world for their sports.
All right,
yeah,
and Brennan.
Yeah, and I agree with Kyle, and I think the best way to go about this is just to redraw the Pac-12. I mean, you get all these schools. It's like USC, they got to travel to Penn State later this year, and I know a bunch of other teams do. You just mentioned Stanford had to go all the way to Syracuse, New York to play a conference football game. Like, I just don't get it at all. They should step in right now, redraw that Pac-12, get a TV deal done for the Pac-12 so that conference can come back and everything can just go back to the way it was, because I really, really don't want to see Stanford in the ACC and like Washington in the Big Ten.
Yeah, no, that would be kind of terrifying. But yeah, right now, SEC, Big 12, both with 16 teams in them. Boys, let's talk about how we get the Pac-12 together to avoid these super teams.
I think I like the way that you're thinking, Brennan. I don't think it's going to get to exactly that way, though, because, like, again, I think that you see that the Pac-12 is rebuilding. They got 4 teams in the Mountain West. I believe they're going to try to eye Memphis and Tulane soon, but I don't see a reality where we get back to where we are unless there is like full internal like investigation and like overlap by some other unforeseen power. Because again, I understand from a football perspective and even a basketball perspective why the schools are doing this, because it's higher tier playing, higher tier teams, like just all in general. And a lot of people don't want to split the money. That was a big point on the Pac-12, is that USC didn't want to split the money with like Oregon State and Washington State. But like, there has to be some intervention beyond anything we've ever even seen before.
No, I agree. I think that it's just not going to happen. But I'm saying in a perfect world, that's exactly what you'd want it to be. I mean, I don't know what the Pac-12 is doing now. Don't know how they would view the conference. I think we talked about that question last week. Getting Memphis, UTSA is another possibility for them too. It's gonna be weird. We're gonna see what happens. But at the end of the day, you're right. Unless some divine intervention comes down, RIP the Pac-12. But I would really want that back. Like, it should not be this way right now.
That's why you play college football 25, so you can do it all the way you want.
That's right.
That's what I did.
Same.
All right, and our friends have reached an agreement. Very exciting there, first agreement of the day. And with that being said, we're going to move on to our next question. And let's go to the NFL, where Thursday Night Football the other day, it was a game, one of the football games of all time. So what is the biggest takeaway there from that game? Dang, Kyle's being brutal on that one. Okay, yeah. Let's hear from Brennan first. A little bit more of a loop.
All right. Here. I said the Jets are probably going to be the most boring team in the NFL this year, but they're pretty good. I mean, the way they walked into their home territory, beat New England. They really didn't have to do a lot. The defense is finally decided to step up. I know it was against the Patriots, but Aaron Rodgers on the offensive side of the ball, he looks like he's going to return. There was a lot of speculation about whether he was actually going to return to that form after an Achilles tear right away. And it's looking like as soon as he's like, as the weeks go on, he's definitely getting back into that.
And Kyle.
I can make some amends there, certainly. But I personally think the Patriots have the worst roster in the NFL, even Carolina, which I know sounds insane, but think about it. I think that Carolina's receiving core is better with Deontay Johnson, Adam Thielen. I think there's personnel-wise and just knowing-wise, I think that receiving core is better. Personally, I would honestly take Andy Dalton over Jacoby Brissett, but again, I think it's just because Dalton has had more experience recently than Brissett has, and I understand that the Patriots did have two pretty close first 2 week games. They actually beat the Bengals, which I think honestly speaks more about the Bengals than it does about the Patriots. And then obviously the Seahawks, I think they just have room to grow, and I think they're all going to get better. But personally, I think their coaching is really good, but personnel wise, I think they're awful.
All right, guys, which of these takes do we think is more impactful? We have a joint take here that we can reach.
I can't get behind the Patriots being worse than the Panthers. Like, this Panthers team, I mean, they're going to win today because that's what happens every time a backup quarterback comes in for a game. But you'll see like in a week or two why Andy Dalton was the backup originally. Bryce Young is just the original starter, is just not a good quarterback. The coaching is bad in Carolina. Overall, the defense too is not anywhere close to New England, in my opinion. I mean, the Patriots, that probably in the AFC, definitely in the AFC, I think they have the worst roster. I don't know. It's either them or Denver, probably, and Denver just won today. But we'll see. They're not as bad as the Panthers. Like, if you put those two teams head to head, I didn't
say that the Patriots are worse. I'm saying roster wise, they are worse. I think it's very, very slim margins. But again, I think I like the receiving core better. I think, look,
you're only talking about the offense.
I got hurt a week into the game. Okay, Derek Brown got hurt 1 week into the season, which is really not that great for them. I still like J.C. Horn, their cornerback from South Carolina. I think there's room to grow for them more than there is New England.
I think there's more room to grow for New England, honestly. Like, they have the better situation for these players to reach their potential. You're only talking about the offense here. The offense has better weapons, I believe. It's a better offense, but I think the team as a whole, like, Ramondre Stevenson is definitely a better running back than Chuba Hubbard. So you got that.
Great. I mean, you saw how they
Hunter Henry is a better tight end than whoever Carolina is throwing out there. Tommy Tremble. I'd take Hunter Henry. I'd take Ramondre Stevenson. Andy Dalton and Jacoby Brissett. It's kind of a toss-up, but I don't know.
All right,
It's
guys. Well, that conversation could have went a lot of ways, but we went the direction of New England and did not reach an agreement. So we are sitting at one agreement there through two questions. And
Jets are not that boring, personally.
that's okay. All right.
No,
So a
they're
lot of disagreement happening there.
pretty boring.
And we're going to stick around in football once again, a lot of football at the top of this. But we were just talking about the Carolina Panthers. And last Sunday, Bryce Young got benched, their former number one pick. But Dave Canales says he is not giving up on him yet. So with how things are going for Bryce Young, where do you think he will be in his career 3 seasons away from now?
Hold on.
Okay.
I have such a long
comparison,
response.
Kyle.
What?
Back up to third string. Okay. This is similar. Do you guys think you agree?
Yeah, no, we
Brennan,
agree.
you a little
Hey,
harder?
Kyle, you'll
All right.
see why we do. Like
So
second
for a minute, let's talk and give Brennan the floor first. I suppose.
Yeah, so I'll give you the floor here. So if you want to just chime in or whatever, and if you do disagree with this, then I guess you do. But back up to third string quarterback if he doesn't get traded. I think with all the quarterback injuries we've seen, especially with Tua, that's the big one I wanted to highlight here. Like if he goes to Miami, then I think there's a chance that he can do something in his career, because we've seen with Carolina that David Tepper and that entire organization is not good. Like they're so bad. If you get him on another team, he was the first overall pick for a reason. I think there'd be more success. I just want to see how he is outside of Carolina, but I think we are right though, that if he doesn't get traded, he's going to be a backup, maybe even a third string quarterback on a team.
I think he'll be at least a serviceable backup. He just doesn't have the qualities of a normal like starting quarterback in the NFL does. And I just personally, I think he is a situation. He doesn't help the situation, if you know what I mean. Guys like Mahomes, like Josh Allen, like Jackson, they elevate the team. He needs the team for him to be elevated, if you know what I mean. And that's clearly not what's happening. And again, I think that he has some of the athletic ability to keep himself in the league, period. But to start, definitely not. Too small, I think. Doesn't have a big enough frame. So, yeah, we agree. I think there's a spot. I mean, he's going to be a backup quarterback somewhere.
I don't know
where, but somewhere.
I mean, I just don't like giving up on rookies right away. I know he's not a rookie; he's a second year, but even still, I mean, it took Josh Allen 3 years to become what he is today. I really don't like doing that, but I kind of agree with you here that it's just an unfortunate situation. But it's also, when I was doing this question, I was kind of like teetering back and forth with like, what if CJ Stroud was drafted to the Panthers? How would he perform? And it's just like one of those things where is it really more of Bryce Young being a bad quarterback, or is it the Carolina Panthers system that has failed numerous times in the past?
Both can be correct.
And that's a good question there, Brennan. But I think you want to move on to some of the other questions if you want some more points. So Carolina's giving him a second chance for now. Maybe he shouldn't give him a second chance, but that is 2 agreements for you guys. And now we're going to hop all the way to the WNBA. The WNBA playoffs start today. So with those games locked in, what lower seed do you think has the best chance to pull off an upset in this best-of-3 series here?
We don't agree here, man.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
All right. Yeah, here we go. Let's talk about them.
Yeah, we both said the Indiana Fever. I mean, this is just a no-brainer. I think it's like they've played better than the 6th seed all year. They're 10-4 after the All-Star break. Caitlin Clark during this stretch of time is just on another level right now. And she's averaging 24, 9, 6 in the span. After that, I mean, the Fever, they might rock this playoffs.
Okay. I only put the Fever. I said it's boring, but it's true. But again, like they have Caitlin Clark. I think she's currently the all-time leader in points and assists for a rookie, which is pretty damn incredible. I just think all the higher seeds match up at least a little bit better than the lower seeds that they're playing. I just think that this is probably the slowest discrepancy because again, I think the Liberty and the Aces, who I believe made the finals last year, they're top 2 seeds. Obviously, they have some top players that I think they're going to get they have like Asia Wilson, Sabrina Ionescu. I think they're going to get pretty deep into the playoffs, and I think the Lynx have been very, very consistent all year, 2nd seed overall. I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty with the Sun and how they can match up against the Fever. But yeah, I believe with the Caitlin Clark is going to be a factor here.
Mm-hmm. So good conversation there. The Indiana Fever might be able to pull off a win against the Liberty there. Sorry, I almost said the Mystics. But yeah, so 3 agreements for you guys. Now let's head to a completely different headline. Also, kind of a non-NBA basketball headline here. But Adrian Wojnarowski, the Woj bombs are gone from ESPN, and he is now becoming a basketball GM for his alma mater, St. Bonaventure. So this new position of college basketball GM has another type of background for its candidates. So among former NBA scouts, marketing professionals, and now well-connected journalists, where are you looking for a GM here if you're a college basketball program? What kind of sphere are we looking for?
I want Brennan to answer this first. Yes.
Okay. All right. I totally see that. So we agree on NBA scouts. Let's talk about that. Why is this so good for this role?
So I think when it comes to college basketball, especially, NBA scouts are definitely the way to go here, because one of the big jobs of the GM and all that is scouting players, and you got to get some good prospects out of high school, especially in basketball when it's such a limited pool. Even like one guy who you draft, who you pick up, get to commit to your school can be a bust that could set your entire program back. Before Kyle gets into that, I also said sports business professionals, like people in that realm, because of all the NIL deals going around now, like transfer portal, all that stuff. You want the guys who can maximize the money, throw it around, get those guys through NIL in. But most of the time, it should be former NBA scouts or people in the scouting world.
And I said NBA scouts because personally, I think like those are the guys out of all the possible options that were given to us for here. They've been around the league the most. They've been around players, I think, directly into the game more than the other options. So I just personally, that's something I would like to have in a general manager.
Yeah, and I mean, Woj is uncharacteristically connected, but scouts are always connected. They have to be, always. So that's 4 agreements for you guys. And jumping off the Woj question, let me ask one more Woj-related question. So with TNT losing broadcasting rights in the NBA and Woj leaving ESPN, one of the more high-profile basketball sources, where do we want to go this season for all things NBA? And you can't go to the Banter Ball podcast. So, okay, well, yeah, that's kind of the same answer there. So Brennan likes Shams. Let's hear from him first.
Yeah, Shams Charania, wherever he goes, that's going to be the top source. I mean, he was pretty much, it was like 1 and 2, him and Woj for the insiders in the NBA, and it wasn't even close. So now that Woj is gone, it's going to be him. He's at the Athletic right now. I think his contract is set to expire shortly. So wherever he goes, it's just going to be wherever you go as well to get that news, because he's basic. I'm not saying he's the new Woj, but he's the new Woj.
Sure. Ironically, in my notes, I did put like, if they were going by like particular person, I think Shams is probably the best source for yourself. But I said Bleacher Report because personally, I've used it a whole bunch for this very podcast. For not even just for NBA, but for college ball and stuff like that. But I think I could definitely get into the agreement that I think reporter by reporter basis, Shams is definitely going to be hoisted into that number 1 spot, and I think he definitely deserves it.
Hey, maybe Shams goes to Bleacher Report.
Maybe, yeah. There you go.
There you go.
They're heavily going after him.
There's the agreement there.
Yeah. So Shams, if he goes to Bleacher Report, is your number
Shams,
1 option.
regardless of where he goes, just maybe he will go to Bleacher Report.
Yeah, people were always saying like, "Oh, Woj and Shams are the ones that are always right." It was just that Woj was a little bit quicker all the time.
Yeah.
So that's going to be 5 agreements for you guys. Now let's head to the MLB. So we have like just about 1 week left in the regular season. So who do you have an eye on in this last week of the regular season, and what do you think the implications of this last week will be for them? Okay.
We got our answers here.
For the first time today, I'm going to let Kyle go first.
Yeah. I think our answers are going to be very similar, although they are different teams. I said the Kansas City Royals, and ironically, I think that it's definitely the best storyline for me because they haven't actually made the playoffs since they won the World Series in 2015. Their last series this year before the playoffs is going to be against the Braves, who are also themselves trying to vie in for a playoff spot right now. They've lost like 6 in a row, the Royals, or at least 6 of the last 7. But they're still, I think, they're still in the mix for a wild card spot in the American League. Again, very distant margins with the Twins, the Mariners, and the team that Brennan's going to say, the Tigers.
Yeah, and I said the Detroit Tigers. If you're looking at a team like specifically based off of this 1 week remaining, it's got all eyes got to be on Detroit. Are fighting for a playoff spot so hard. They might even be in it right now. I'm not really sure where they stand. But the way this team is heating up right now, I think a couple days ago they were 8-2 in their last 10 games. They've just been firing on all cylinders. The implications for this could lead to a large playoff run, especially in the MLB. We see teams catch heat at the right moment. We saw with the Diamondbacks last year, they made it all the way to the World Series. In terms of this final week, all eyes got to be on Detroit, and I think Detroit only. This team, if they make the playoffs, can go far, very far with the way they're playing right now.
And again, I was going in between these two teams here, but again, so the last two series that the Royals have to play they have to finish up against the Giants, and then they have the Nationals, and then they have the Braves, and then the Tigers have, I believe, the White Sox and the Rays. So yeah. I understand what you're coming from here for, but I think the more competitive baseball, hopefully, is going to come from the Royals down the line.
But the Royals. I mean, down the line, maybe. But if we're looking at in the playoffs, maybe, sure. But the Royals, I'm pretty sure, are pretty close to clinching a playoff spot, if not already have, and they will be in the playoffs.
Right now, they are tied because the Tigers just won right now. So I think they're both at 82 wins. So, again, I'm willing to get an agreement here because, again, I want to win here. But personally, I do think the Royals, again, they have not made the playoffs in damn near a decade. And I would like to see some winning baseball in Kansas City. I understand that aside from
I love Kansas City. I mean they the Royals, not the Chiefs, but I love the Royals. They did have a lot of Vinny Pasquantino go down. He's out for the year. That's a huge blow. The Tigers still look. The Royals, they won a World Series in 2015, which I get is 9 years ago. But the Tigers haven't won anything in a while. They haven't even made the playoffs in I don't know how long. All eyes gotta be Detroit or bust for this team. I mean,
I think the more lightning in a bottle team right now is definitely the Tigers.
Yeah,
but I think the Royals again. I think they probably are going to struggle in the playoffs if they do even make it, because again, it's super razor thin right now in the playoff race. Mm-hmm. But again, I think Tigers are probably maybe a little more lightning in a bottle than the Royals are. So I'm fine saying it.
All eyes on them as they fight for their chance of a lifetime right now in Detroit. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be 6 agreements for you guys there. We're going to hop over to where do you guys want to go?
Okay.
We're going to football again.
We're going to go to the NBA. The NBA Cup courts have been leaked. Have all of them been leaked? Were all of them leaked?
I think I saw all of them.
Yeah, all of them. I think NBA 2K leaked them. So of those courts, who do you like best in 2025?
Oh my God! There's no way, dude.
I'm always loving the Hornets. Let's talk about these courts, guys.
Yes. It's awesome. The blue is that Hornets blue, awesome, and I really like what they did with the court logo design, like that the beehive little pattern there that they have. That's awesome, and it's just all the other courts. I was between them and the Nets because those two are I think the best by far. Some of the other courts are kind of bad. I mean, it's just the logo enlarged and weird patterns. No, the Hornets do everything right outside of good basketball.
I was going to say, yeah. It actually makes me care about the Hornets for once. And again, it's not too gaudy. I love teal. I think teal is one of the most underrated sports colors ever.
I agree.
I think the Jaguars have a top 5 uniform in the NFL. That's just personally me. I love teal.
Teal's got to be put with the right colors. The Jaguars don't execute it right.
It's teal and black. That works fine. Regardless, I think the Hornets do better with purple. It's not too gaudy. It's not too horrible on the eyes. I think the Hornets knocked it out of the park. Definitely.
Yeah, Hornets branding has always been pretty solid. We've talked about the pinstripes on this show.
We did.
But yeah, we need some actual good basketball coming from Charlotte so we can watch that branding play out on the court. But with that being said, that's what, 7 agreements for you guys, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and with that being said, we're going to move to our last big sport here, probably our second to last question of the day. In the NHL, the NHL preseason started yesterday. So give me your boldest predictions for this year. You had one more day of research than I expected you guys to have here. Okay, let's go for Kyle first.
And I almost put Brennan's. Can I say that? I almost put Brennan's. But personally, I think the Predators have done great things going into the season. They signed Jonathan Marchessault. They signed Steven Stamkos. They signed Brady Shea. They re-signed their goaltender UC Saros, who again played super well for them. Played super close games against the Canucks last year in the first round of the playoffs. They still have Roman Josi, their long time defenseman. Phil Forsberg had the best year of his career points wise and goals wise. I'm not saying they're gonna match up amazingly against the Stars as Oilers, but they're definitely top 4 in the West.
That's a big prediction, but I think as far as bold goes, I think Brennan's might be a little bit bigger based on this team's history.
I made a little bit of a homer take, but I think this is perfect for what this question was asking. The Buffalo Sabres will break the longest active playoff drought in all 4 professional sports and make the playoffs this year. Everywhere Lindy Ruff goes, he makes the playoffs. It's got to happen this year. If it doesn't, then I don't think it'll ever happen again. This team is so young, so talented. The ceiling on all of these players is just through the roof. And then they go in, they add some veterans, Sam Lafferty, Jason Zucker, Abe Kubel, Kieskov. I said Lafferty, I'm pretty sure. Sam Lafferty. It's just so much potential oozing out of this team right now. They have to put it all together this year, and I think they will.
I don't know, man. Hey, look, again, I almost I was going between these two. I was I think Nashville is a little more reasonable. I understand it's trying to be bold, but I'm not trying to go too bold.
I don't think it's too bold to say.
I don't know, man. The Buffalo Sabres for me is I don't want to say that they're going to do well until they do. And I would very happily eat my words.
I agree with that. I agree with that. It's kind of let me see to believe it. I don't know how bold Nashville making the Western Conference Final is though, because you said it all. That roster is very good. It is I'd say it's a top 3 in the West. They could definitely. It's very realistic, I think, for Nashville. They got the goaltending. They now have all the offense in the world. The Sabres though, it's a little more iffy because of that tough Atlantic Conference. I get it. The Lightning
largely unproven players. I do like the guys that they brought in, but they're not bringing in a Patrick Kane or a Jonathan Toews sort of player.
Don't do Patrick Kane because he's 38 years old.
I understand that, but that's a guy that has been in the league for a while and has had sustained.
And they brought in Lindy Ruff, who has had sustained success.
Who?
Look, Lindy Ruff, the head coach, everywhere he's been, playoffs every single year. That's success right there. I mean, in his practice, he's the perfect coach, I think, for this Buffalo Sabres team right now. A lot of young, Tage Thompson had 50 goals 2 years ago, so he's proven. Alex Tuck is a very trusted guy, 30 points a year, not 30 points, 30 goals a year. So I don't know.
All right, Kyle, again, are you buying the stock here?
Come on, you almost put it.
I did almost put it, but it honestly was more just to agree.
Let's go Buffalo. Hold on.
Look, if they're gonna make the playoffs, oh my lord, if they're gonna make the playoffs,
this team is making the playoffs right here.
It's gonna be a 7 or 8 seed. It's not gonna be very high.
Yes, absolutely a 7 or 8 seed. What?
They're gonna barely make it. That's my.
No, I know, but they will make it. They will make it.
I will agree with Brennan, but again, I think Nashville's got the stuff.
And that's 8 agreements. That's 8 agreements for you guys, and that is your last question today because you guys were jibber jabbering all about the Buffalo Sabres. Brennan, as the resident NHL analyst of this crew here, the real expert on the NHL, I'm not buying the Sabres stock, but yeah, and everyone knows my opinion on that.
It's going to be very underrated. They're going to be very underrated this year.
But with 8 points, in need of 2 more. We're going to head to a traditional speed round, 2 minutes for possibly the first time. Well, definitely the first time this season, probably the first time for quite some time that it's going to be 2 minutes. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to ask some questions, and you guys need to have the exact same answer. You don't get to really talk it out at all. Maybe I'll give you a little bit of discourse if you really want to waste your time, but you guys got to say the same answer at the same time. And we're going to try to just chug as many through as many of these as I can. I did not really prepare a lot, so we're gonna see how you guys do. But are you boys ready?
Yeah.
Also, a Amon Ross St. Brown touchdown from Jared Goff. All right, so let's get this started. 2 minutes starting now. What is the best team in the NFL, folks?
It's got to be the Chiefs.
I would say the Chiefs, sure.
All right, that's one. And what's the best team in the MLB?
MLB, that's
Dodgers.
Yankees right now, I think.
All right, disagreement. What team is winning the college football playoff this year?
Texas.
All right, that's going to be 2 agreements that you guys needed. All right, my next question was going to be, what's your favorite season? Because we got the seasons changing, coming into fall.
Winter.
Winter, really?
It's fall or summer. Fall or summer. Can't choose.
Fall is great. Yes,
Fall
yesterday before the Kansas West Virginia game, I was practicing on the hill playing the tuba, and the leaves were falling off the trees right onto us. It's a beautiful experience, and a beautiful experience these guys just had, getting 10 agreements here today. This has been the Banter Ball Podcast. Brennan, where can everyone find us?
Everywhere on social media: Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, actually too. So go follow us over there. Which one didn't I say? Instagram. Yeah, that's the one.
iHeartRadio.
iHeartRadio, YouTube, Spotify. Everywhere you get a podcast, we're on there pretty much. So it's pretty easy. Banter Ball Podcast. Right? You know the brand now. Y'all familiar? We're in season 3. So
we're in season 3.
If you aren't with the program, then get on the bus now before
we're lacking a little bit on branding this season, but I mean, you guys keep coming back for love. And Kyle, what are they finding on those socials, specifically the Instagram? What are people finding there?
25 polls. I did actually not a great job. I had Arizona State ranked, and then they just lost to Texas Tech. But
hey, that was an all right showing, though. I mean, 14-0 from Texas Tech in the first quarter. They fought the best they could coming back after that.
I have fun, though. I have fun. I think Missouri is definitely going to drop for me, because that was a tough game against Vanderbilt.
Dude, my dad was so pumped about that Vanderbilt game the whole way through, and whenever that field goal was missed, he was just so devastated.
I think I had them in my playoff.
You did whenever we talked about it the other day, and I didn't.
I thought they were going to be good, but
maybe.
They're still undefeated, but we'll see.
One last thing before we sign off. How about BYU taking down Kansas State? Huge win in the Big 12.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, BYU's ranked now, I believe.
Would you believe it if the top 4 ranked Big 12 teams right now are like BYU, Utah, Cincinnati, and like Colorado?
Yeah.
If I would have tell you that last year, you'd be like, what?
And Colorado, I watched that Colorado-Baylor overtime game. What a catch. I mean, Shedeur Sanders, Hail Mary, sure, but like, what a catch on that like little flip around and everything. Mm-hmm. But this has been the Banter Ball Podcast, and we are going to see you guys next week. Stay tuned for Kyle's Top 25 poll. See you guys.